Introductory section of Patriarch Ouyi's Essence of the Amitābha Sūtra. Essence of the Sutra. The Buddhas, with compassion for the multitudes of deluded sentient beings, put forth transformative teachings according to the various potentials of these deluded sentient beings. Although these teachings all derive from the same source, many different expedient methods are employed. Among all these expedients, if we seek the most direct and the most complete, none is as good as seeking birth in the Pure Land through Buddha remembrance, or Nianfo. If we seek the simplest and most reliable among all the methods of Buddha remembrance, the best is to develop faith and vows, and to concentrate on reciting the Buddha's name. This is the reason that the ancients took the Amitābha Sūtra as their daily lesson, or daily practice, though 3 Pure Land scriptures have circulated side by side in the world over the generations. The Amitābha Sutra shows that the method of single-mindedly reciting the Buddha name applies to people of high, medium, and limited capacities. It encompasses both phenomena and principle, omitting nothing. It embraces both lineage and doctrine, or Zen and scriptural Buddhism, and leaves nothing out. This method is indeed inconceivably great. Over the generations, since ancient times, there has been no lack of people to comment upon and explain the Amitābha Sutra. Over time, many of these commentaries have fallen into oblivion, and nowadays not many survive. A generation ago, Junki Zhuhong wrote his extensive and subtle commentary, and my own teacher's Dharma brother, Master Yoji Chuandeng, wrote his complete Middle Path commentary, which is profound and highly learned. These two are like the sun and the moon in the sky. All those with eyes see them, but their literary style is elaborate and their meaning complex. Their ultimate reaches are unfathomable, and beginners whose knowledge of Buddhism is still shallow may find it hard to reach their level. Therefore, I have put aside my qualms about my own mediocrity and ignorance, and composed another commentary explaining the essential points of the Amitābha Sutra. I would not dare try to diverge from my elders, Zhuhong and Yuji, nor would I presume that I could equal them. When I look upon their example, it is as if lofty peaks surround me, even though my commentary in no way fully describes the true realm of the Pure Land tradition. I must not fail to give every one of you a personal vision of it. When one explicates the text of the Amitābha Sutra, there are 5 layers of mystic meaning. First, there is the title of the sutra to explain. This sutra takes as its title the Amitābha Sutra spoken by the Buddha, 佛說阿彌陀經, from the one who expounds it and from the one of whom he speaks. Buddha is the master teacher, the one who expounds the scripture in this world, that is, Shakyamuni. By the power of his vows of great compassion, he was born here in the world of the 5 evils. As the one who was first to awaken, his mission was to bring enlightenment to those who were to awaken later. Buddha is the one who knows all and sees all. The Buddha speaks the sutra with joy in his heart. Buddha's intention is to liberate sentient beings. Since the potential of sentient beings to achieve enlightenment is ripe, Buddha expounds for them these Pure Land teachings, which are difficult to believe, and enables them to reach ultimate liberation. That is why he is filled with joy. Amitābha Buddha is the one of whom Shakyamuni speaks in the sutra. Amitābha is the guide of the Pure Land. By the power of his 48 vows, he receives the sentient beings who have vowed to practice Buddha remembrance by invoking the Buddha's name, and enables them to be born in the Pure Land of ultimate bliss, and never fall back from there. The Sanskrit name Amita means infinite life, Amitayus, and also infinite light, Amitābha. The essential point is that everything about Amitābha is infinite. Merits, wisdom, supernatural powers, power in the path, embodiments, environment, and the Buddha's work in expounding the teachings and liberating sentient beings. A sutra is any teaching from the golden mouth of a Buddha. These terms, taken together, make up the title of the scripture, the Amitābha Sūtra spoken by the Buddha. The three categories, teachings, practices, and principle, which each sutra should have, can be explained in both general and particular senses, as set out in the Tiantai system. Secondly, there is the essence of the sutra to discern. The true essence of all the Mahayana scriptures is the real mark or true nature itself. What is the real mark? It is the one thought moment of the mind of self-nature directly appearing before oneself. This mind is not inside, not outside, and not in between. It is not past, not present, and not future. It is not green or yellow or red or white, long or short or square or round. It is not a scent, not a flavor, not a texture, not a mental object. When we search for it, we cannot find it, but we cannot say it does not exist. It creates all worlds and all realms, but we cannot say it exists. It is detached from all conditioned thoughts and discriminations, from all words and characteristics, but all conditioned thoughts and discriminations, and all worlds and characteristics do not have any separate independent identity apart from it. Essentially, it, the true nature, is detached from all characteristics, but merged with all phenomena. Being detached from characteristics, it is formless, and being merged with all phenomena, it gives them all their forms. Because of this, we provisionally call it by the name the true nature, or the real mark. The essence of this true nature is neither stillness nor illumination, yet it is both still and illuminating. The constant illumination is provisionally called the land of eternal, calm light. That stillness, always illuminating, is called the pure Dharmakaya. Moreover, continuous illumination within stillness is called the Dharmakaya, and continuous stillness within illumination is called the reward body. Additionally, the inherent quality of stillness and illumination is called Dharmakaya, and the cultivated attainment of stillness and illumination is called the reward body. Further, the cultivated illumination within stillness is called the enjoyment body, and the cultivated stillness within illumination is called the transformation body, Nirmanakaya. Stillness and illumination are not two. Bodies and lands are non-dual. What is inherent and what is cultivated are not two. True essence and responsive function are non-dual. Everything is none other than the true nature. This true nature is without duality, yet also without non-duality. Therefore, the essence as a whole acts as both the environment that surrounds sentient beings and as their very bodies. It acts as both the Dharma body and the reward body of the Buddhas. It acts as both self and others, as the one who speaks and the one who is spoken of, as the Buddhas that can deliver sentient beings and as those who are delivered. The ability to believe and that which is believed in, the ability to take vows and that which is vowed, the reciter of the name and the recited, the ability to be born in the Pure Land and birth in the Pure Land itself, praising the Buddhas and those who are praised. All of these are imprints of the seal of the true nature. Third, there is the guiding principle to explain. The guiding principle is the essential root for cultivation, the key link for understanding the essence, the guiding framework for the myriad practices. When a net is pulled, all the details of the mesh are revealed. When you lift the collar of a shirt, the breast and sleeves naturally follow. Thus, after discussing the essence, we must discern the guiding principle. The essential principles for cultivation in this sutra are faith, vows, and reciting the Buddha's name. Without faith, we are not sufficiently equipped to take vows. Without vows, we are not sufficiently equipped to guide our practice. Without the wondrous practice of reciting the Buddha's name, we are not sufficiently equipped to fulfill our vows and bring our faith to fruition. Thus, the sutra first describes the pure environment of the land of bliss and the exalted embodiment of its inhabitants in order to engender faith in us. Next, it urges us to take vows, the aspiration to be reborn there, to give guidance to our practice. Then, it teaches the practice of reciting the Buddha's name single-mindedly for 7 days as a direct path to achieving the state of non-retrogression. Faith means having faith in oneself and faith in others. It means being sure about cause and effect, about phenomena and principle. Vows means being disgusted with this Saha world, feeling a longing to leave it and to be born in the Pure Land. Practice means persisting in reciting the Buddha's name single-mindedly and without interruption. Believing in ourselves means believing that this single thought moment of mind present before us is not just a lump of flesh, nor an image dependent on external conditions. It means believing that it extends vertically through time without beginning or end, and horizontally through space without bounds. Though it follows causal conditions all day long, it never changes. All of space in the 10 directions and all the worlds, countless as all particles, are originally all manifested within this single thought moment of mind. Although we are deluded and confused, if for a single moment we return to this mind, we are sure to be born in the land of ultimate bliss, originally inherent in our own mind, and be troubled no more by worry and doubt. This is called believing in ourselves. Believing in others means having faith that the Tathagata Shakyamuni certainly did not lie, and that the world-honored one Amitābha certainly did not take his vows in vain, and that the long tongues of the Buddhas of the 6 directions do not utter doublespeak. It means following the true teachings of all the Buddhas without doubt and firmly resolving to seek birth in the Pure Land. This is called believing in others. Believing in the cause means having faith that Buddha name recitation, even when carried out in a distracted state of mind, still actualizes the seed of Buddhahood, and that this is even more true of invoking the Buddha's name single-mindedly without distraction. How can this fail to be a cause for birth in the Pure Land? This is called believing in the cause. Believing in the result means having deep faith that the assembly of virtuous beings in the Pure Land all attained birth there through the Buddha remembrance samadhi. When you plant melon seeds, you get melons. When you plant beans, you get beans. A shadow follows a form, and an echo necessarily responds to a sound. Nothing is sown in vain. This is called believing in the result. Believing in phenomena, sure, means having deep faith that this present single thought moment appearing before one is inexhaustible, and therefore all the worlds of the 10 directions manifested from the mind are also inexhaustible. The land of ultimate bliss really does exist 10 billion Buddha lands away, a place of utmost purity and splendor. This is not like some parable from the Zhuangzi. This is called belief in phenomena. Believing in principle, Li, means having deep faith that although the land of ultimate bliss is 10 billion Buddha lands away, it does not really exist outside this single thought moment of mind present before you, for the nature of this very single thought moment is truly all-encompassing. Furthermore, one deeply believes that the Pure Land's environment and the beings there are all reflections manifested within the wondrously bright true mind. All phenomena are precisely this principle. All falsity is precisely this reality. All practices are identical with the true nature. All others are identical with oneself. Our own inherent mind is all-pervasive. The Buddha mind is also all-pervasive, and the minds of sentient beings are also all-pervasive. It is like a room filled with 1,000 lamps, where each light mutually pervades every other light, illuminating one another without any obstruction. This is called believing in principle. Once we have these forms of faith, then we understand that the Saha world is just the impure manifestation of one's own mind. And so one should detest it and wish to be free of it. Meanwhile, the Pure Land is the pure manifestation of one's own mind, and we must delight in it and seek it. We must renounce defilement completely until there is nothing left to renounce, and we must fully aspire for purity until there is nothing left to pursue. Therefore, the Miaozong commentary states, if you take grasping and rejecting to the limit, they are not different from not grasping and not rejecting. If you do not engage in grasping and rejecting, and only value not grasping and not rejecting, this is a form of clinging to principle and abandoning phenomena. If you neglect the phenomenal level, then you are not complete at the level of principle. If you arrive at the point where all phenomena are merged with principle, then both grasping and rejecting are also merged with principle, sometimes grasping, sometimes rejecting. Nothing is not the Dharma realm. Therefore, after faith, aspiration is clarified. As for holding to the Buddha's name with a one-pointed mind without disturbance, this implies that the name itself embodies the Buddha qualities. Since the qualities are inconceivable, the power of the Buddha's name itself is also inconceivable. Since the merits of the Buddha's name are also inconceivable, even if we recite the Buddha's name with a distracted mind, it is still a seat of Buddhahood. How much more so if one recites with a one-pointed, undisturbed mind? How could this not directly lead to the state of non-retrogression? Many sutras teach practices of various kinds for attaining the Pure Land: contemplating a Buddha image, contemplative visualization of the Buddha, prostration, making offerings, practicing the 5 forms of repentance and the 6 recollections, and so on. If you perfect any of these practices, you will be born there. Yet, of all these, the practice of Buddha name recitation alone encompasses the widest range of people and is the easiest to begin with. Thus, in this sutra, The compassionate Lord Shakyamuni thought this practice voluntarily, without being prompted, highlighting it specifically to the wise Shariputra. It can truly be called the foremost among all skillful means, the unsurpassed definitive meaning within definitive meanings, and the most perfect and sudden within the perfect and sudden. Thus, the ancients said, when a purification pearl is cast into murky water, the water cannot help but become clear. When the Buddha's name is cast into a disturbed mind, the mind cannot help but become Buddha-like. Therefore, faith, vows, and name recitation are taken as the true cause of the one vehicle, while the four types of Pure Lands are taken as the wondrous fruit of the one vehicle. When the cause is brought forth, the fruit inevitably follows. Thus, faith, vows, and name recitation are regarded as the central teachings of this sutra. The characteristics of the four kinds of Pure Land are described in detail in the Miazong commentary on the sutra and in the profound meaning of the Brahmanet Sutra, and I will not explain them in full here. Later on, I will give a brief account of them as I explicate the text. Fourth, there is the sutra's powerful function. The powerful function of the sutra is the attainment of non-retrogression through birth in the Pure Land. Birth can be categorized in terms of the four lands, and also into 9 lotus grades in each land. Here I will give a brief explanation of the characteristics of the four lands. If you recite the Buddha's name without cutting off your delusions of views and thoughts, then one will be reborn in the land where sages and ordinary beings live together, according to one's level of concentration or distraction. Within this land, there are 3 ranks, subdivided into 9 grades. If you recite the Buddha's name and achieve a high state of single-mindedness on the level of phenomena, with deluded views and thoughts naturally fallen away, you are born in the land of expedient liberation. If you recite the Buddha's name and reach a state of single-mindedness on the level of principle and break through 1 to 41 levels of fundamental ignorance, then you are reborn in the land of true reward and adornments. You also partially attain the land of eternal stillness and light. If ignorance is completely eradicated, this is the highest level of the true reward land, which is also the land of ultimate eternal stillness and light. There are 4 types of non-retrogression: non-retrogression in thought, non-retrogression in practice, non-retrogression in position, and ultimate non-retrogression. Non-retrogression in thought is breaking through fundamental ignorance and revealing the Buddha nature. One directly attains birth in the true reward land and partially realizes the land of eternal stillness and light. Non-retrogression in practice is when views and thoughts have fallen away, and their dust-like afflictions are also broken. One is then born in the land of expedient means and advances towards the utmost fruition. Non-retrogression in position refers to those who bring their karmic conditions with them and are reborn in the land of common residence with sages, remain supported by a lotus flower, and are forever free from the conditions for retrogression. As for ultimate non-retrogression, whether through wholehearted or scattered recitation, whether with intention or without, whether with understanding or without, as long as the name of Amitābha Buddha is heard, or the names of the Buddhas of the 6 directions, or even the title of this sutra, then, even after countless kalpas, one will eventually be liberated because of this. It is like hearing a poisonous drum, near or far, all will perish, or like swallowing a small piece of diamond which cannot be digested and remains indestructible. Fifth, we must explain the characteristics of the teaching of the sutra The sutra is contained in the Mahayana collection of the Bodhisattva Pitaka and is a teaching spontaneously given without being requested. It is empowered by the profound great compassion of the Buddha. It has the power to enable sentient beings burdened with numerous obstacles in the age of Dharma decline to rely on this direct path and attain non-retrogression. Therefore, even after the complete extinction of the Dharma, out of great compassion and a vast vow, this sutra will remain in the world for an additional 100 years, to widely save all sentient beings. It is like a panacea, seamlessly encompassing all, inconceivable and perfect. The mystic treasury of the Flower Ornament Sutra, the secret essence of the Lotus Sutra, the essential heart-mind of all the Buddhas, and the compass guiding the myriad practices of the Bodhisattvas. All are encompassed within this sutra. If one were to broadly praise and describe it, even after exhausting countless kalpas, it would not be sufficient. Those with wisdom would naturally understand this.